What if the most successful taxi company was one that never gave a single ride? Today, we're exploring how one entrepreneur completely redefined an industry by solving the problem nobody else saw.
That sounds completely backwards. How does a taxi company succeed without actually providing rides?
Well, it all started with this fascinating observation by a man named Ravi. He noticed that when people complained about taxis, they rarely mentioned the actual vehicles. Instead, they were frustrated with everything around the experience.
Hmm, like the planning, the waiting, the routes they took?
Exactly. And that's what led to his revolutionary idea, PlanMyRide, a transportation company that focused entirely on helping people make better travel decisions without owning a single vehicle.
So, what exactly did this service look like in practice?
Think of it as having a personal transportation strategist. Ravi would analyze your journey and create custom solutions combining different modes of transport. And here's the interesting part. His recommendations saved customers an average of 40% on their regular commuting costs.
That's a pretty significant saving. How did he convince people to try such an unusual service?
Well, he started with these brilliant free route savings tests. He would show people 3 different ways to make their regular commute, and the data showed that 95% of people were taking routes that were either 30% longer or 25% more expensive than necessary.
Those numbers would definitely get people's attention. What happened next?
That's when he introduced his game changing ride coaching sessions 20 minutes where he'd completely transform how someone navigated the city. And get this, his clients reported saving an average of 8 hours per month on their regular commutes.
You know what's fascinating about this approach? He's essentially selling time and peace of mind rather than transportation.
Exactly. And he got incredibly specific with it. He developed specialized plans for different types of travelers, and his data showed that parents with school-aged children were saving up to $200 per month using his strategies.
That kind of targeted approach must have really resonated with people. And
Oh, it did. Within 6 months, he had a 92% client retention rate. But the real turning point came with what I call the Tina story. It completely changed how people viewed his service.
tell me more about that. What made this particular story so impactful?
So Tina needed to cross the city in 20 minutes during rush hour, something that typically took 45 minutes minimum. Ravi created this brilliant combination of metro and e-bike that got her there with a minute to spare, and within a week, his client list grew by 300%.
That's an incredible growth rate. How did he handle that kind of rapid expansion?
Well, that's another fascinating aspect of this story. He developed an app that automated many of his recommendations, and within a year, it had over 100,000 active users. But here's what's really interesting. Traditional taxi drivers actually became some of his biggest supporters.
Now that seems counterintuitive. Why would they support what could be seen as competition?
Because his service actually optimized their business too. When he did recommend taxi rides, they were always the most efficient part of the route. Drivers reported a 60% increase in their average fare value while driving fewer total miles.
So he essentially created a win-win situation for everyone involved.
Precisely. And the impact went beyond individual benefits. City data showed that areas with high concentrations of PlanMyRide users saw a 15% reduction in rush hour congestion.
Those are some impressive metrics. What would you say is the biggest lesson other entrepreneurs can learn from this?
I think it's that sometimes the most valuable service isn't doing something for people, it's teaching them how to do it better themselves. Ravi's client satisfaction rates were consistently above 95%, not because he gave better rides, but because he gave better solutions.
And I suppose it also shows how important it is to really understand what problem you're actually solving.
That's exactly right. The real innovation wasn't in creating new technology or services. It was in recognizing that people's fundamental problem wasn't a lack of transportation options, but a lack of knowledge about how to use them effectively.
This really makes you think about other industries that might be ready for this kind of revolutionary approach.
Well, that's the beauty of this model. It could apply to almost any service industry. The key is focusing on empowering people rather than just serving them. And that might be the most valuable lesson of all.